women's wrestler or more pieces, or another, maybe two more pieces, maybe a women's wrestler and another. I don't know, a monster, because Bobby Lashley would be the monster of the group, but at the same time, he's the Ric Flair of this group, if you look at it from the Horseman perspective. You have Arn and only being Cedric and Shelton. Shelton and Cedric, both workers, both can go in there and perform. Not that Bobby Lashley can't, he can as well. And then, of course, you got the great MVP leading the group. So it got me to wondering, if Vince was so set on this being taken away, excuse me as I open up my handy-dandy notebook here, was the Hurt Business originally Vince's idea? Or was it something that kind of got thrown together and you had four great performers and great individuals and great people and said, hey, we need to make this work, and collectively, they did make it work. And I want to go over a few things. When I started looking at this list, okay, I went over a list and I said, okay, Vince McMahon, his ideas that weren't originally, when I say this, they weren't the WWE's baby. They didn't mold it. They didn't shape it. And so I thought of first thing, of course, came to mind, was WCW. That was short-lived, right? They brought in, again, not everything falls on Vince McMahon or on the WWE. It's a little difficult to bring in the talent that they were bringing in besides, you had your Booker T's and things like that, but a lot of the top echelon of talent were still under contract. So when he purchased WCW, he didn't have that top-tier talent necessarily to bring over, minus your Booker T's and a few others. But again, it wasn't even when they did, and we even go to ECW, okay, the invasion angle or the program that WWE put together, wasn't built to last. If you're going to bring ECW back, it's got to be dirty and grimy. It can't be your WWE version of ECW and expect it to get the fan support. And I think deep down, Vince knew that. Again, remember, Vince said, I bought my competition. If he thought it could still be financially successful, it wouldn't have been announced that WWE or Vince McMahon purchased it. It probably would have been like some silent, he would have been a silent partner in it, and they would have kept it running somehow. They would have had to find a network, of course, because TNT at that time and TBS and everybody didn't want anything to do with wrestling anymore. But sometimes I think ego gets a bigger part of this. I even go further looking at wrestlers, okay? When you get into WWE, most of the time there's name changes, right? Let's look at one that did the name change. On the indie circuit, the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson. In WWE, he became their product by being Daniel Bryan. Now give it, Daniel Bryan had to work his ass off to get the push. And then once Vince saw money in him, it was off to the races. But he also allowed WWE the name change. Bryan Danielson to Daniel Bryan. So now it became WWE's product. CM Punk. He didn't change his name. Wasn't changing his name. And I'll say he got ran off, or however you want to look at it. They didn't bend over for CM Punk. I think there was a lot of money left in that. but he wouldn't bend over. He wouldn't, not bend over, he wouldn't bend. I used the wrong wording there, huh? Abel, a great producer, too. Sorry, Abel. Did not. Thank you for being here this morning. We didn't bend over backwards, is what I was going to say, to help out or to maneuver CM Punk's thinking creatively, right? It's like, hey, this is what you get. You like it or not? CM Punk said, not so fast, buddy. I'm out of here. And I honestly think Vince McMahon probably thought, okay, he'll be back in a year or so. Not coming back, Vince. We'll see if something else happens. I want to look at a couple other things. The NWO. They come back to WWE, right? Not Vince's creation, right? Not Vince's intellectual product. Well, I guess it is now since he bought WCW. But not his original idea. What does he do? The first chance at WrestleMania, let's flip Hollywood Hogan back over to what WWE made or helped make, Hulk Hogan. The yellow and the red. They got that Hulk Hogan back. And you've seen Hollywood Hogan every once in a while. You do got the NWO, I believe, going into the Hall of Fame this year. I want to look at a couple of mid-card guys. I don't like the word mid-card, but they were not EC3, right? Was originally in WWE Developmental. Didn't get much. Went over to TNA, made a name for himself as EC3. Came back to WWE. How'd that go? Eric Young. Bobby Roode. You guys kind of changed his name to Robert, right? AJ Styles has been one of the more successful ones. And again, all these guys have talent. When I'm talking about WWE making them like Hulk Hogan and things like that, yes, the performers had a lot, 85% to do with that, okay? I'm not saying that the money wasn't there, but Vince McMahon and WWE got behind those guys, not as Hollywood Hogan, but as Hulk Hogan, okay? AJ Styles is the one that's out here begging for matches with legends at WrestleMania so he can get on the card. He's in a tag team title match with Omos against the New Day. I don't feel that AJ Styles should be in a tag team title match at a WrestleMania. The Phenomenal One deserves more. This is where I'm getting to with Vince. If you're not WWE's creation, meaning you didn't change your name and become Tyler Black, Seth Rollins, how's that working out? John Moxley went to Dean Ambrose. Worked out well for him until he got tired of it, right? But if you come in under your names, where do you go? Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, doing good in NXT. Will they do so good if they made it up towards SmackDown and Raw? I'm not saying main roster because to me, NXT is a main roster. How would they get booked if they made it up to the top of Raw and SmackDown? Would they be booked at the top of that roster? Drew McIntyre. Let's look back at some of these the guys that have left and come back. Drew McIntyre, right? He was there, kind of fizzled out a little bit, left for a little bit, came back. Now look at the push. John Morrison left, came back. Edge. Christian came back. Now he's back over and he left and went to AEW. To me, if Vince, you're not his creation, you're not getting that booking behind you. You're not getting that WWE machine behind you to get the push you need to be successful. And if you do, it'll probably come to an end pretty quickly if it's not Vince McMahon's idea, i.e. the Hurt Business, which I'm hoping is a swerve, by the way. I'll stay to that. Every day at Onside Radio, our hosts sit down at the round table to tackle the most important local or national sports headlines. The Round Table is podcasted daily. Search Onside Radio on all platforms. Subscribe, rate, and review. Listen to all the different shows on the station. OnsideRadio.com is the home for South Florida sports.
Find the podcast for the Squared Circle Digest on all podcasting platforms. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.
Riddle me this. With all this sizzling meat and crunchy veggies nestled between toasty flatbread, who should get credit for Papa John's new papadilla? The person who invented pizza or the person who invented folding? Well, whoever it is, a tip of the tongue hat to you, sir or madam. Get a new papadilla, 4 flavors, just $6 each. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love. Including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
If you missed One-on-One on Sunday, you missed this.
The character over talent kind of perspective. Sometimes, you kind of do have to deal with not necessarily a headache of a player, but you do have to deal with a certain type of player to get a certain type of production,
A player who needs to be managed.
Mm-hmm.
It's much like that child you were, and I was that kid in elementary school where, I did my work, but after I did my work, I caused trouble. I was a little bit of a challenge to teach, and some teachers didn't want me in their class. That doesn't mean that I wasn't talented. That doesn't mean that I wasn't smart. That doesn't mean that I wasn't going to be somebody. That doesn't mean that I wasn't going to be a heavy contributor to the school or, whatever it was. But, hey, I just needed a little bit more coaching than some of the other people did.
One-on-One, every Sunday morning from 9 to 11, only at OnsideRadio.com.
Hey, it's Big O for EJD Construction, your custom home builder, additions and home remodeling. Our lives have changed. We're making our homes more of an oasis. Call the right place. Call the right people. Eric at EJD Construction for over 16 years. A-rated member of Angie's List in the Better Business Bureau. 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
He has an overbite that makes him look like a cartoon character, a slightly crooked eye, and an uncommonly wrinkly neck. In the right light, he can look a little like a garden gnome, and he'll wear a bow tie just because. Sure, you might call him a little quirky, but that's exactly what makes him so perfect. Tuna is a 3-year-old Chihuahua Dachshund mix with more than 700,000 followers on Instagram, and it all started because he was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Tuna, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online. To the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful. To those who don't stop and those making all the stops. To the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Dunkin' to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
Welcome back to the Squared Circle Digest. To text the show, 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's your host, Sean Stanley.
Don't forget you can be a part of the show reaching out. Give us a call at 888-441-4623. Text at 844-416-8123. About 10 minutes, we'll have Jakari Givens joining us to talk a little bit WrestleMania. Again, only a week away now from night one. at WrestleMania. April 10th is night 1. April 11th has become a big day, not only because of night 2, but apparently Chris Jericho. He joined Stone Cold Steve Austin on the Stone Cold podcast, and that will be dropping April 11th. The Forbidden Door been kicked down. This is what I'll say on this. Maybe the door has been unlocked. One lock has been turned. There's still like 4 or 5 locks on this door. Remember, let's not jump so quick and be like, oh my goodness, Chris Jericho, AEW superstar on a WWE program. Stone Cold Podcast is recorded in Hollywood, California at Stone Cold's Ranch, okay? Chris Jericho has not stepped foot on anything WWE, especially anything property owned by WWE. They record him at his Stone Cold Ranch. So, again, what questions were asked? Again, April 11th. Smart on WWE's part. And I do love the way they released it with the Y2J countdown. And then it just spares out Jericho and Stone Cold looking at each other. And then they just look into the camera. Leaves a lot of questions, right? Everybody's going to tune in. Smart business. And then Stone Cold did say kind of how this came together. And this is from Stone Cold. He said, I was having a beer one night after my Broken Skull session interview with The Undertaker aired, and out of the blue, Chris Jericho reached out and said, man, that was a great interview. I sent him back a couple of emojis, one of a beer mug and the other of an eagle. And then he called me right then and there. So Jericho reached out to Stone Cold, and he said, we got to talking. And Stone Cold said, I'd love to have you on the show. In which he said, I'd love to do it. So he checked with Vince McMahon. And then Austin informed Vince McMahon of the idea. And then he said Vince gave him the thumbs up. And everybody knows Stone Cold's relationship with Vince McMahon on texting and everything else there. So he said, I texted Vince and he said, we have this badass idea about Jericho coming on the show. Vince goes, it's cool. Go ahead. And then here's where he goes into the Vince. But me and Vince don't always do well with phones and texts and all that. So I texted him one more time. Are you sure it's okay to have Chris Jericho on the show? Vince once again gave him the thumbs up. And Chris came out to do the show. And by the way, Chris Jericho did have Tony Khan's permission. Listen, this is smart on WWE's part. I know Triple H got some questions on the his call yesterday, his conference call, or the day before, and he kind of just said, "Hey, you know, we're open for business." Listen, take it for what it is, people. When have you seen WWE work with any other companies? And if they do, what's the win for WWE? AEW schedules itself and markets itself as being an alternative to the WWE programming you're watching, right? Being something different. WWE on Raw and on SmackDown, those individual nights have more people watching those shows than people tuning into both NXT and AEW Dynamite. Not taking anything away from those shows. Wednesdays, there's other things going on. I understand that. Whereas Monday's the beginning of the week and Friday the end of the week, yeah, maybe you're in. And also they're on Fox and USA. The SmackDown, of course, on Fox. Everybody gets Fox TV wherever you're at, okay? I understand that. But here's the thing. What is WWE's win in setting up and doing anything with AEW. Those are the fans that have already left WWE to go to AEW because AEW offers something different. If they want those eyes back on the product, WWE would have to change and market toward those eyes and do what AEW is doing differently than what they're doing now. Vince is not doing that. I get it. Chris Jericho on the WWE Network, on Peacock, never stepped foot on a property owned by WWE to do this interview. I am very intrigued. I will be tuning in, and I'm sure a whole host of people will, to see what they talk about. Will they get into the AEW stuff? Remember, Chris Jericho is a smart businessman. I can't see him doing anything to necessarily burn bridges. Will he say take little shots here and there? Yeah, you've seen that, right? You see him take shots, but at the same time, he'll give you a bad, and then right behind it, he'll be like, oh, but that one time Vince McMahon did this for me. So anytime he does do something, say something bad about Vince, he ends up covering it up. Smart businessman. Why are you going to burn bridges? Just doesn't make sense. And I'm glad, and I'm happy everybody's pumped up about this. But just pump the brakes a little bit on this forbidden door being kicked down. Think of your home locks, okay? I don't know how it is at your house, but at my house, I've got 500 locks on the door. So right now, I've undone 2. Still got 498 locks to go. But hey, we're open to all business, right? We'll see how this plays out, and hopefully people are not too upset when everything goes down. And again, I don't know what the expectations are on this interview. I know there are 2 great legends in this interview, and I, for one, will be listening to it. Speaking of legends, Jakari Given's going to join us after this break, but Onside Radio understands gaming is a big part of the sports landscape. That's why every day we keep you updated with some of the latest gaming news with Onside Radio's E-Minute, hosted by Toast, Kai, and Michael Christian. If you missed it, it's podcasted daily. Search Onside Radio on all platforms. Subscribe, rate, and review OnsideRadio.com, the station gamers call home.
Listen to OnsideRadio.com anywhere by downloading the MyTuner Radio app in your app store. Or go to MyTunerRadio.com on your web browser. OnsideRadio.com. South Florida sports leader.
She's kind of a big deal. Some people like to say it's only because of how she looks. She sticks her tongue out a lot. But there's just something about her that makes people do crazy things. Like get tattoos of her face. Or wait in line for hours just to say hi. Lil Bub is a 2-year-old cat. An Instagram celebrity with a following bigger than some 90s television stars. And it all started because she was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Lil Bub. But you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Hey, is that a faucet running?
Nope, that's not a faucet. That's a river rushing through the forest.
It is?
Yeah, forest rivers provide over 100 million people with clean water to drink. The water comes straight from the forest to us. In fact...
What? I can't hear you because of the vacuum.
That's not a vacuum. That's the trees in the forest cleaning up the air we breathe.
How do trees clean the air?
They soak up the dirty air on their leaves, branches, and trunks, which means clean air for us.
Cool. I didn't know that.
Yep. But the forest does more than give us clean air and water. It gives us shade for hot days, birds to listen to, and trees to climb.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know how cool the forest could be. Hey, let's go explore some more.
Visit the forest today and enjoy all it does, just for you. To learn more about the forest and find one near you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If you missed 4th and 20 with Toast and Marsh, you missed.
Turn your tweets into NFTs, which is an interesting thing. Obviously, there's not going to necessarily be a market for them.
Right.
So I could turn that tweet into an NFT, but I think it got 4 likes or something. So I don't think
you got 5. I just liked it as well. So we're sending you up. There you go. Yeah.
4th and 20, weekday mornings from 8 to 10 a.m. right here on OnSideRadio.com.
Big news, Miami fans! Body Armor is proud to be the new official sports drink of Major League Soccer and Inter Miami CF. It doesn't matter if you're a player or a fan, Body Armor sports drink will hydrate you with potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Whether you're at home or in the starting lineup, Body Armor sports drink will hydrate you from kickoff to the final whistle. Body Armor, now the official sports drink of Inter Miami CF, available at your local Publix.
With Make-A-Wish, the impossible becomes possible. A girl battling cancer can become a race car driver battling the course. The boy showing all the nurses his fire trucks can take the helm of a real one. Wishes can give kids with critical illnesses the strength to keep fighting, get better, and grow up.
Where there's a wish, there's a way.
Wishes need you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
There are those who dedicate themselves to a sense of honor, to a life of courage, and a commitment to something greater than themselves. They have always defended this nation and each other. They still do. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to the Squared Circle Digest. To text the show, 844-416-8123. That's 844-416-8123. Here's your host, Sean Stanley.
Back high atop Inter Miami CF Stadium. We are joined now by Jakari Givens. We're going to talk a little bit about WrestleMania. Jakari, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm getting to talk about wrestling for this last hour, so everything's been doing very well.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited. It's a big week ahead. We got a week full of wrestling. It seems like NXT today, WrestleMania today. I'm kind of excited to see everything, but I'm most excited for the fans, just to see the fans back in the game.
Hey, Jakari, it sounds like you're in a wind tunnel. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. A minute ago, you were either moving or it was a wind tunnel.
Yeah. I'm good now. So, yeah. So, it's just I'm excited for the week full of wrestling.
Okay. All right. So, let me ask you now, what about your favorite WrestleMania moment? What's your favorite WrestleMania moment?
Oh, it's Seth Rollins cashing in. It was kind of M-tone, like, whatever, because we didn't want to see Brock versus Reigns at the time, and just to see that cash-in moment, like, and see him do the spin with the title on top of the ramp, like, that was probably that. And CM Punk versus Undertaker, that was one of my favorite matches in the last couple of years, just seeing the matches and, like, seeing how that played out and how CM Punk used the Paul Bearer death as something, and it's just an amazing build to that story.
Yeah, I know. That was going to be my next one. What was your favorite WrestleMania build as far as that goes? Because for me, it was the Yes Movement as far as a build for something. But also, if you go all the way back to WrestleMania 3, Andre Hogan, I thought was a great build as well.
My favorite build? Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say John Cena and The Rock just because it was like 2 years in the making.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm probably going to have to go with the Yes Movement as well, just because what they put him through, the whole thing, that was beautiful. Like, you know, he's too small. He's not an A-list player. He got to beat 5 people just to get the match. So that was one of my favorite builds as well. And just to see how people got behind Daniel Bryan was just an amazing thing as well.
Yeah, especially, with that whole the yes movement, the way that thing took off. Now, I know you're looking forward to Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, and I'll give you time to talk about that in a little bit. But besides that match, this two-night WrestleMania, what match are you looking forward to?
Well, I would say Reigns, Bryan, and Edge. Just because the work Reigns has been putting in the last couple of months has been just amazing. So I want to see that. And plus, the adding Daniel Bryan to the mix kind of like made it like, well, damn, like I really don't know who's gonna win, because now you can take the title off Reigns without him having to take the pin. So that's one. And as far as NXT, Adam Cole and O'Reilly.
Yeah, no, that one's got my check too. One thing I thought that was maybe a mess up on WWE's part was the fact that since they added Bryan, I almost believe that Roman Reigns is dropping the title.
Yes, and that's the thing. As soon as they added him, it was like, okay, they putting Bryan in the match to take the pin because they don't want either Edge or Reigns to take the pin straight up.
That was going to be my thing is that maybe they put him in there for Edge to take the pin possibly, because Edge has been doing a lot of heelish stuff.
Yes. Like curious to see, because I thought Edge would set up the face and the rivalry, and then he goes ahead and wins.
Hey, Jakari, I'm losing you again, man. Hey, can you call us back? Can you try to call us back and get a better connection if you can?
Yes, that's fine. Give me one. Let me do that right now.
Okay, man. All right, we'll get you back on as soon as you call back in. Okay.
All right.
All right, and we'll continue this talk also, but I wanted to look at some of the things that he was talking about there. The Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly match, really looking forward to that on the NXT side of things. But I do think that WWE, and again, maybe this is WWE's way of telling us that the unexpected, right? Because maybe Roman Reigns does walk out the champion. But to me, when you put Daniel Bryan in there with Edge, you have now said, we don't want Roman Reigns getting pinned, but we'd like to get a new champion on board. So we'll see how that goes and that happens, and hopefully we'll get Jakari back on here in a moment with a little bit better of connection. I know how he feels about Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks, so I'm going to let him discuss that once we get him back on here. Looking at some of the WrestleMania builds up over time, when you look back, remember, WrestleMania 4 was, what was it, a 10 or 20 superstar tournament to determine a new WWE heavyweight champion. At that time, Hogan and Andre were first-round buys, and they advanced into a second round, which then both got disqualified, double disqualification, and Ted DiBiase moved on. And DiBiase and Savage was actually the finals. Savage wins it. That's when the Savage-Hogan Mega Powers kind of started. Moving on to WrestleMania 5, the Mega Powers collided. It was almost a year-long story, which you did discuss with Hogan and Rock as well. That was a year build. It was the night after WrestleMania. Rock came out, challenged Cena, and I don't think we saw Rock again, except for I think maybe it was a SummerSlam or the Survivor Series. He came back, I think, and had to team up with John Cena. And that was against Miz and R-Truth, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And then they fought at WrestleMania here in Miami, which surprised me. And I saw The Rock win. A year later, redid it, and Cena won the rematch. That's how you do business. You get the title. Cena did the honors for Rock in his hometown. Rock repaid the favors a year later. But also that card here, WrestleMania 28. At that time, it was Joe Robbie Stadium. Or was it Pro Player Stadium? I can't remember. But that was also the end of the era. That was the Undertaker, Triple H, Hell in a Cell match with Shawn Michaels as the referee. And that match exceeded all expectations. I went into it going, okay, they're in the cage. It's a Hell in a Cell. They'll just beat each other up. They beat each other up. But the ending, when Shawn Michaels super kicked The Undertaker right into the pedigree from Triple H, they didn't get the 3 count. The sell Shawn Michaels did on that count, that near fall, hooked everybody in that stadium. I was so happy to be there. Also, that was the same time Daniel Bryan took the 18-second loss to Sheamus. Oh, there's so much that happened on that card. So much amazing stuff. And again, WrestleManias have been in, as soon as hopefully we'll get Jakari back on, but if not, I'll reach out to him and we'll try to get him on again later. One thing that's been talked about in this WrestleMania that a lot of people forgot about, and I really didn't make a big deal about it until recently, was they're going to have a crowd at this WrestleMania. And WWE is kind of tinkering with an idea that they're not going to do a pre-match before night 1 because they want that first match of WrestleMania in front of a crowd to mean something. And to me, that is going to be a very impressive thing. And I think we might have Jakari back on.
Yes.
Perfect, Jakari. We got you, man. Hey, I was talking about this because WWE now is tinkering with the idea of not doing a pre-match before night 1 because they want the first match in front of fans to mean something. So this is going to be a twofold question because it's going to involve a match that I know you have already talked to me about that you're very well looking forward to. If they do that on night 1, I think what's going to happen is this. You're going to get Bobby Lashley against Drew McIntyre opening night 1, the show. And I believe you're going to end up getting Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair closing the night, or vice versa, because they're putting so much meaning on this first match in front of a live audience again.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't really want to see no pre-show matches anyway. If we was at a full capacity there, yes, but it's no need for it, and we want that first match to mean so much. And it's going to mean a lot to us as well. Think about it. Like, we haven't seen fans, like, in the arena in, 5-6 months? Yeah. So it's going to be a lot, and it's going to be so much explosion and how good that match is going to be. Vice versa, whoever it is, Lashley or McIntyre versus McIntyre, Sasha and Bianca, those matches are going to be explosive, and I expect great matches. I expect great matches all around just because the performers are going to be excited to be back in front of fans.
Yeah, and I feel like it was kind of a way for WWE to kind of get out of that whole they kind of paint themselves in a corner about who was going to be the main event for night 1 with the Lashley and McIntyre and Banks Belair, and a lot of people wanted Banks and Belair to get that spot. I think they were leaning toward Lashley. Now it seems they made this first match mean almost like a main event spot just to kind of get out of that.
Yeah, and I think that it's just, I'm excited, man. And it's like, I can't put it into words because the fans make the show. So now that the fans are back, it's just going to be an amazing feeling for me, man. It's going to be just to see those guys, to see the women and men of the WWE get the fans back. You're going to see I think you're going to see more off-the-wall changes. You know what I mean? I think we're going to see a lot of more surprises than we have in the past at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I definitely think with the way this is set up, and I'm wondering, though, because 25,000 people in a 75,000 seat stadium normally would look pretty bad on TV. But then when you add the field now as well, they usually put another, I think, 10, 15,000 seats down there. How do you think they're going to be able to make this stadium look? I mean, the field's going to be there because people in the crowd. But TV-wise, how do you think they can make it look good?
Well, I think they're going to do what everybody else has been doing, the caught up, and also they're going to pipe in noise as well. So I just think it's going to be sort of like the Thunderdome, but it's just going to be fans included instead.
Yeah, and I'm hoping, again, like you said, I think we're going to see some surprises. Is their second show on Peacock. And I want to get your thoughts on this. April 11th also now, we found out Chris Jericho will be on the Stone Cold podcast. What are you making of that?
Jericho just has a lot of respect for WWE in general, so it's not surprising. He's just, he has a lot of respect for Vince McMahon, and he's just at AEW because they gave him, obviously the money. He probably has curative control. He probably has investment in AEW. But I don't take nothing out of it. I think it's just, Vince McMahon loves Jericho. He's probably one of the greatest performers you've ever seen because he's fired in the sense whatever gimmick you give him, he puts it over. So It's just a respect level for him. So it's not that I don't buy much into it.
Okay, good. I was hoping you weren't going to be like the Forbidden Door's been kicked down and AEW and WWE will be teaming up and all this stuff.
No.
No, I know. I saw that all day yesterday on my timeline. I almost wanted to just grab it and just be like, I deleted some people just because I was like, you don't get it. Last question, Jakari, before I let you out of here. Your thought of the build for this WrestleMania, and then how mad are you that they broke up the Hurt Business?
I'm not that mad because I think because I think we've seen that too much. I think we had the whole Undisputed Era dripping in gold. You had, it was too much of repetitiveness. So I'm not upset about it. And I also think they could have gave Bobby Lashley, more of a stable, if you get what I mean. Like, actually good people to be around. Like Cedric Alexander and, was not the guy for him and Shelton Benjamin.
Oh, man, I'll disagree. I'll agree to disagree with you, Jakari. I want to thank you for your time on here, man. I appreciate it. We'll get you on after WrestleMania, and let's discuss the results.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Monday I'm available. Next Monday I'll be available, so I can't wait.
Good deal, my man. That is Jakari Givens. You can check him out at KingJock24 on Twitter. Jakari, thank you so much, my man. And like that, he is gone. We'd like to thank A Shade Above Window Fashions in Davie, 954-434-4774 for this beautiful pink and black shade. A Shade Above teamed up with Bandalux to personalize and create the on-side radio shade in the beautiful pink and black colors. To order protection with a style for your home or office, like we did, call A Shade Above Window Fashions, 954-434-4774, or go to the website. Let me say that again. Go to the website, ashadeaboveflorida.com.
Find the podcast for the Squared Circle Digest on all podcasting platforms. Please subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.
She's kind of a big deal. Some people like to say it's only because of how she looks. She sticks her tongue out a lot. But there's just something about her that makes people do crazy things, like get tattoos of her face, or wait in line for hours just to say hi. Lil Bub is a 2-year-old cat, an Instagram celebrity with a following bigger than some 90s television stars. And it all started because she was adopted. You can't buy a best friend like Lil Bub, but you can adopt one. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
Inter Miami CF, your official furniture and mattress store, is here. City Furniture is your #1 home source for the trends you want at the prices you'll love, including exclusive City Furniture collections, the widest selection of styles, affordable home accents, mattresses starting at just $99 and more. Create the home of your dreams fast with next-day delivery, plus get 60 months special financing with no down payment. Because City Furniture is here to make it easy so everyone can live life like this, visit cityfurniture.com.
Let's raise a cup to the first among us who put themselves last. To the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online. To the ones keeping shelves full and keeping us hopeful. To those who don't stop and those making all the stops. To the ones who pick up, suit up, and never let us down. From all of us at Duncan to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. When you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org to learn more.
Baseball fans will go deep into the count with Alex Aguirre and Christian Chase. Catch the show that talks Marlins and all the big stories in the major leagues. Saturday at 8 a.m., exclusively at OnSideRadio.com.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Big news, Miami fans! Body Armor is proud to be the new official sports drink of Major League Soccer and Inter Miami CF. It doesn't matter if you're a player or a fan, Body Armor sports drink will hydrate you with potassium-packed electrolytes, antioxidants, and no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or dyes. Whether you're at home or in the starting lineup, Body Armor sports drink will hydrate you from kickoff to the final whistle. Body Armor, now the official sports drink of Inter Miami CF, available at your local Publix.
I'm Ryan Seacrest. When you call 911 and ask for help, first responders show up. Now, let's show up for the people who show up for us every day and every night.
Go to firstrcf.org to learn more.
These are unprecedented times, challenging how the YMCA works to strengthen community as we have for nearly 170 years. But we've always found ways to help people and communities in times of crisis. Right now, Ys across the country are providing emergency childcare, shelter, food programs, and outreach to seniors. But we can't do it alone. Whether you're connected to the Y or have a fond Y memory, we need you to stay with us. Reach out to your local Y today and stay with us for a better us.
Welcome back to the Squared Circle Digest. To call the show, 888-441-4623. That's 888-441-4623. Here's your host, Sean Stanley.
Bringing you back in, the Squared Circle Digest here on Onside Radio. It is now time for the crosstalk, and I get to talk with David Dwork from Chirping the Cats Radio. David, injuries are mounting, but the Panthers are still winning. It's a good thing, right?
Well, injuries are never a good thing, but the fact that they're able to overcome these injuries and still able to pull out a 4-game winning streak, matching a season high, it's good. And injuries are hopefully starting to go away. We don't know yet. We'll find out within the next hour probably, but Barkov and Hornquist should both be back in the lineup tonight.
That's all you saw that said they were on the ice. I think it was
Thursday, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, then they stayed late to get in some extra work, and I watched them, and they both looked fine, normal, no limitations. Didn't appear to me that they were trying to favor anything, and I know Barkov's already on the ice this morning, Hornquist probably as well. And, yeah, that'll be a welcomed return.
Yeah, it will be.
I mean, when you're a team like the Panthers, they're a team that prides themselves on their ability to possess the puck and hang on to the puck. And nobody does it more or better than Barkov.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's going to throw a wrench into things when you take him out of the lineup. And we saw the struggles they had against Chicago.
Yeah, the first two games after Barkov was out, and then they kind of put it together now.
They started figuring it out slowly but surely, and now they're back to, obviously not at the high level that you could be with a Barkov in your lineup, but they're still, as we said, figuring out ways to win.
Now, Duclair, how long will he be out?
Q said 10 days. But
is that a normal injury like for hockey? I mean, I don't know how the...
It's hard to say because, it looks like he jammed his shoulder in some way. You don't know if there's structural damage. You don't know how sore it might be or if he did anything to his muscle perhaps. They're so vague in hockey that we really don't know. But Q has said several times now, about 10 days. So
now, does their injuries thing go kind of like the day-to-day, 7-day if you're on the...
It can.
Okay.
The IR is, if you put somebody